look at all the gold.
I am overburdened. I can't carry anymore. I can't.
Actually, it's kind of nice because like I actually found a purpose for the gold because I've been having fun, kind of like fussing around with the gambling again, jambling. Because with crafting, obviously you need certain base types, and if I'm not patient enough to find the base type, I can just go ahead to Geed and see what Geed's got going on. And within like some reasonable amount of pulls, I can find the base model that I'm looking for to do the crafting. Usually it's gloves. Like I'm trying to find some like Mac Nasty Amazon gloves for Titana. See if she can't get a little more damage based. Even though I know, oh, okay. We'll go ahead and snag those. Um, Even though, she's kind of focused on Magic Find, it would be nicer to kill or to get rid of mobs a little bit faster. So, why not? Why not? The 40% I can probably make up somewhere along the lines. She's got room to grow with her equipment. I'm pretty sure I've been rather lackadaisical with like her rings and her amulet. So her trinkets are all really good. Mostly. I think that I put everything I had onto my sorceress. She's got the lion's share of the 7%ers, which is normal. She's well over 500%, which is okay, but she's a super glass cannon. She does not take a punch very well.
I can't carry anymore.
But
I can't carry anymore.
she clears stuff very quickly. That's nice. I just kind of lost my luster with the sorceress because I feel that there have been so many changes with her over the years with the method of how she does damage, what makes her powerful. I was always in love with like the frozen orb source, where you just this big old ball of ice and destruction goes rolling out there and everything falls over. Oh, okay. We can definitely go there. That's fine with me. I will always go to Act 6. Act 5. How many acts are there? Act 5. Oh well. Hello, gang. Party time. Holy mackerel. That's wonderful. Give me all the mobs. I'll take a gajillion and a half mobs. Could I get some... There we go. Thank you. Yes. We're having a whole lot more fun out here. This is way better. We like this. As I speak too soon. As there's now nobody. Hey. Ah. That's okay. Alrighty. Let's say we're at the end of the actual zone, so I thought we were like we're light on mobs all of a sudden. That's because we're here. So time to mosey on backwards. See what we got. Moving on down the line. Uh-huh. No, failed. Okay. That's fine. See, this is where I have my most fun, because there's just mobs and mobs and mobs, so I feel like I'm accomplishing something. There we go. How are you guys still alive? We'll fix that. We'll take a ruby any day of the week. Actually, we'll try to take one every day of the week, but everything is good. Hello, friends. Nice to meet you. Thank you, thank you. Nice job. Nice job. I'm proud of you, mercenary. You're doing so good. Maybe we can get some Travancore terror zones today. That's always fantastic. That's a favorite of mine. Very quick and easy. Makes for a very enjoyable hour of time to go by. Sometimes there's some really good drops. Sometimes there's some other drops. Whatever the opposite of really good is. Really bad and really undesirable, I guess. So. Oh. I think we're right at the beginning. Yep. Okay. We don't need to be there. Alright, let's flesh this out a little bit. Hey! That's fantastic. That is absolutely acceptable. Little foul rune. Nice, nice, nice. I am alright with that. That gets me one step closer to the edge. Or the end. To something or other. It's good. I also wonder in like the theory crafting, how much character level has to do with the drops. Like, do you get higher rune drops when you're 95 versus 91? Does that factor into anything? Does that... Oh, now you almost spelled it right. It's I-S-T. I-S-T, please. Thank you. We'll still take it. We will still take it.
I am overburdened. I can't carry anymore. I am overburdened.
but yeah, it's or when you're finally level 99, does do you find more runes because you're that level and you're literally at the end stage of the game and you've maxed out your you've maxed out all your skill points. You probably have, hopefully by that time, like the best equipment, and you found it enough that you've rolled all like the best um, stats on it. Again, you've played the maximum you can for your character, or if it's just the same kind of like you're gonna get all the low runes, you're gonna get some of the mid tier runes, and every random Wednesday afternoon out comes the high rune of champions, something in like the 50s or 40s or 50s for item level. And I think I don't know, it's it would be wonderful to ask like the pros, where that kind of stuff comes into play, um, or if it just goes back to my theory of you know the bigger the density, the better the mob count, the more chances of item dropping, because it's just you're statistically it's in your favor. You've got such a group of we'll take ghosts for an example, or specters, or like any of those type of like mob. They're supposed to be like super super successful for runes because of their limited um, drop chance, like what they have on their loot table. So with that, you're obviously you're trying to go to like the most populated area that has spirits of those type. So be it the Arcane Sanctuary, um, Diablo's, the son of a gun, his Sanctuary too. Um, those are all supposed to be like super super ghost heavy and very very um, successful rune finding. Um, and honestly, it's weird. I wish I could be on that train with the rest of them, but my silly luck of rune finding has come from just randomly killing anywhere and everywhere. I also, thinking out loud and talking about this makes me think that same idea, you know, mob density, population matters, because it's just a numbers game, and uh, what do they say that like there's whatever the chances of winning Powerball would be, one in who knows, you know, 650 million or some crazy odds like that. So statistically, same idea. If you were to buy that many tickets, you would you would automatically win. I think there was a movie with Brad Cranston, um, Walter White from Breaking Bad, uh, who like they played like the lottery, and statistically they won money because all of the Bryan Cranston, um, all of the other winners help supplement uh, their buying of tickets. So they not only did they win the jackpot, but they won the incremental amounts along the way, adding up to even a larger like uh, winning. So same principle. The more mobs you get through, the more chance you have, ever so slightly. You're just talking, um, you know, like moving that meter to the right just a little bit. Um, but again, that's what this game is all about. You're just trying to move the needle to the favorable aspect. Um,
I am overburdened.
and that's my 10 cents. Probably not that great, but that's what I've been contemplating lately. And I think it's made a big difference for me personally, um, using my headphones, which I've had for 80 million years. I just usually use like the desktop speakers. I got a set of left, right, and subwoofer speakers that I've had for going on 2004, so 21 years. Ugh. Holy mackerel! Um, but yeah, they keep on trucking, so I'm thrilled about that. Um, and with the headphones, that lovely little scraping noise that signifies a rune, I can hear so much more clearly versus being on the desktop speakers that I might have missed it. So that might, I mean, really, we're talking maybe has helped my rune collection because those they love to like fall off screen. It's a heartbreaker because you just yep. Um, if you're moving along and you're paying attention, but you're not paying attention, and you hear that little scrape sound, it it'll stop you in your tracks. And I'm guessing by playing on the desktop speakers, because I'm not playing at 11, I'm not maxing out the volume, that little scraping noise has eluded me a few times, and I've left something on the table, which I don't want to think about because it's sad. Um, but yeah. All right, back in action. And also playing with the headphones, it's fun because like, when I'm not trying to. Well, I guess same disaster. Oh, I heard it. See, that's silly enough what I'm talking about. Um, God, I don't want to press it. I don't want to look at it. The spider just crawled over it. Uh, Ort, Ral, Tal. Hey,
I can't carry
yeah, you
anymore.
can. You sure can. Look at that. All right. What a morning. This is. I mean, I am online. I don't know how else to say it. I'm definitely not on single player trying to rig the deck. What a good day. I'll tell you. It makes up for all the other days that just like, you know, tears of sadness just streaming onto your face because you
I
find
can't carry anymore.
Ral or Tal and you're like, wait,
I
I just
can't carry
got these
anymore.
from, you know, I just got these as a quest reward. Why would you give me these as a drop? Uh, you need a 55th pledge shield. Okay. I, I, Ancient's pledge shield would be wonderful because I have an entire character dedicated to them. The, the entire inventory stock is Ancient's pledge, and every shield I could find
I am overburdened.
in triplicate. So,
I can't carry anymore. I can't carry anymore.
yeah, so I can't really, I mean, I pretty much have maximized my theory is that,
I
just
can't carry anymore.
more is better. Whatever, you know, if you can tolerate it, if you can stand it, if you can find a way to entertain yourself throughout the the repetitiveness of grinding, you're gonna find what you want to find. Um, you know, again, when we're all talking about maximizing your opportunities, you're again you're incrementally sliding the scale to your favor, and that's really what you want. Um, this is this is just as easy for me because the same whatever like Blizzard is a bunch of like geniuses because 1 hour in any specific area is like the right perfect amount of time because some individuals that I watch online who are, I mean, hats off to you guys. You'll sit there and you'll farm a certain area for what seems like forever. You know, there are some individuals that'll do 1,000 runs of something. I couldn't. I will be open and honest, and there's 100% chance that I could not do that. I don't know. You are a superhero amongst mortals because to do 1,000 runs of Travancore or 1,000 of anything, um, I would likely need a rubber room with a straitjacket because I would just be certified. I would be, you know, I mean, I'd be talking to myself, which I technically am talking to myself right now, but like it would be no different. Okay, okay, I got nothing. I don't know how to don't know how to carry on with that one. That makes me rethink life a little bit, but oh, good times. Hey, wow. They're not. I mean, honestly, none of these are like independently phenomenal. Maybe the foul rune was fantastic, but um, it's just nice to see consistency. It's nice to see here and there, you know, orange text boxes show up, and it's gratifying. So. And I guess not all terror zones are really created equal because there are certain terror zones that I not. Yeah.
I am overburdened.
There are certain terror zones that are made up of certain classes of creatures, and those classes of creatures have their own specific kind of drops. And then you have I also wonder if it's based on. Are in Act 5, are you going to find the same drops in Hell as you're going to find in Act 1 of Hell? Even though the terror zones are equal, like my terror zone is 92 right now, is it the same? Is it the same? All these really cool questions, all these really cool like design elements and intricate details. Because otherwise, same idea. Like if you're only gonna find like the best of the best in Act 5 um, throne area, no one would ever leave that area. You would literally farm the living everything out of it, and that would be your spot of spots. But I mean, I found a Hydra bow. I found the Wind Force, which is I've never found it up until like I think last week, in all of my gaming, and that's what has kind of encouraged me to get a Boazon just to see how that world lives, because the less interaction I have, the more fun it can be, but also the more dangerous, because again, you lose that ability to see the orange text box, and you're relying on auditory cues to hear it fall. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. So many questions. So many questions. Um,
I am
I
overburdened.
don't know if anybody else has these questions, but or you know what, which is even more embarrassing, they probably have already answered these questions, and I just haven't seen the other video by a content creator, or if I did and I heard the answer, I did the traditional like student glaze over, and you're like, what? What did the teacher say? So I wonder how many of the content creators just sit out there and like, shake their head and they're like, oh, so this is what Miss So and So was like in high school or middle school or whatever. You just have that kind of like, huh? What'd they say? Charles Schultz, man, what a genius back in the Peanuts days. Charlie Brown, the teacher, just wah 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 wah. It's there's they're saying something, and your brain is just like, man, I want to go play with my BMX bike outside, or I can't wait to play the latest Nintendo release. I heard this Legend of Zelda game is really really popular. I mean, you're not paying attention. So, yeah. Well, to any of the guys and gals out there that have done this content, I sincerely apologize if you've answered some of these questions that I've been rambling off on, because, you know, like any student, I should have been paying attention, but instead I was probably doodling a superhero on my pad of paper, thinking of, what would happen if Marvel and DC crossed over, and would Batman be able to take out every single one of the mutants in X-Men? And, you know, when you have a creature like Darkseid versus Thanos, which is the same character, who wins? Does the Omega Beam beat out the Infinity Gauntlet? Does the Infinity Gauntlet even come into play? Can that be a consideration amongst the battle? You know, what, where do you draw the line? Um, yeah. Does 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 DC Comics have adamantium? And if they do have adamantium, does Bruce have a solution that dissolves it or counteracts it, and all sorts of crazy questions like that? And you know, terrifyingly enough, that's what can keep you up at night, because these are the burning crossovers and the burning questions that we all want to know. And probably out there, like I said, there's a comic series or a graphic novel or something out there that's already covered this, but because of the lack of follow through, I haven't Googled it or nerded out on it or whatever. So, but yeah, it's deeply fascinating how a game of this lineage can be so artistic, um, and have so much depth to it. And I'm only scratching the surface. It I I am so new to the game in the sense of hours played in comparison to so many of my other colleagues out there. And I'm not even going to put myself in that category because it seems like it's cheap. Um, it, they live, breathe this game. If they're not playing the game, they're reading about the game, or they're watching another content creator perform some kind of situational task or whatnot, or they've talked with developers, they've talked with other professionals, and it's the only way you develop and grow. You associate with individuals that are like-minded, that have the same kind of love and passion and interest in it, and you continue to creatively bounce ideas off of one another instead of sitting there kind of like shooting each other down because one wants to be better than the other. And I live by the motto of you know the race is long, or what? Oh, sorry. The beginning goes, sometimes you're ahead, sometimes you're behind. The race is long, and in the end, you find out it's only against yourself. So, in all respects, like it's amazing to get together with groups of people that are like-minded, passionate, enthusiastic, and creative, and want to continue to like build on something. And everyone is there to like better the next person and share knowledge and share creativity and enable like that healthy growth instead of stifling them and saying, utilizing like negative speech and, you know, just tearing somebody down because that it it doesn't do anything. It doesn't help better a situation or help better people. And it's so silly. It's so, I don't know why that one stuck in my head, but one of the most amazing speeches, not speeches, like I guess just rambles that I've ever heard was from the wrestler John Cena, which is, uh, it hurts me a little bit to even reference wrestling anymore because it's so different than what I grew up with like the gimmicks and the 80s wrestling and the larger than life and like all that type of stuff. But John John was talking about cutting promos and how you never ever cut down your opponent. You always build your opponent to be bigger and better and larger than life and a force to be reckoned with and an unstoppable force. Just all these massive complementary intense type of comparisons, like he's the greatest in the world, he's the best there is, he's all this. And what ends up happening is if you are able to beat that person, your status is even bigger in the scheme of like professional wrestling. So what a, I mean, it's beautiful in the sense that you only build up versus like tear down. And I know that we're in a different world now, and I know that's not necessarily how things are, but it could be. It really, really could be. It's not out of the realm of possibility. It just takes a little bit of thought, a little bit of consideration to really like build and make better. Do, 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 um, instead of always like thriving on the negative and thriving on you know, this is terrible, that's terrible. It's only terrible if you choose to like fixate on it, and it's only terrible if you choose to like not see that there's more than just the surface. Um, you know, oh, it's a rainy day. It's such a miserable day. Da 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 da. Yeah, okay. It gets rid of pollen. It cleans your car for free, sort of. Not perfect, but it's close. Um, it's great to nap in. There's nothing more comfortable and pleasing than taking a nap on a rainy day. Um, I'll take a rainy day any day for the fact that it keeps my allergies at bay. I think that's worth the price of admission. I'm not sitting here like taking Benadryl or anything that uh, anti-congestion because I'd rather not. I'd rather stay away from it as much as possible. And give me a rainy day, and I'm a happy camper. Um, once all that
I can't carry anymore.
gunk is out of the air, please give me like a nice 75 to 80-degree day, and I'm a happy camper. So it's all looking at it from whatever
I can't
perspective you want to
carry
look at it
anymore.
as. Um, yeah, but yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. There's content creators out there that are so enthusiastic and focused on specific games, and it's not so much their
I can't carry
their
anymore.
livelihood anymore. as they genuinely just love what they do. And that's incredible because you would be able to see the individuals that are kind of disingenuous, that they're trying to push a narrative. You know, like if I didn't love this, no way would I sit here for 14 hours just swirling around, right clicking the heck out of my mouse. I would gladly do just about anything else. I hope to God I don't sit here for 14 hours, but there's been some days. There's been some days where it's just been like, okay, you know, there's nothing on the menu. I've I've done all my obligations for the day. Let me what wonders behold me. Um, I definitely okay, I can admit this. I definitely remember the Warcraft days where it was, you know, the more you play, the better you get, and I took that to heart. That I can remember
I can't carry
regretfully skipping out of
I am overburdened.
movies. I can remember skipping out of dates.
I can't carry anymore.
Not very proud of that topic, but
I am
it was
overburdened.
one of those. If you were raiding Molten Core on a Friday night, you had to be there, and if you weren't there, you were replaced, and that sucks because you take it personally. Because you take it personally. Um, so it was it was riding around Fellwood. It was looking for Mountain Silver Sage, and it was looking for Plague Bloom, and you were going to town trying to get ready for Friday night. And if the latest and greatest movie came out, you probably caught it the following Tuesday for $5 down at the local theater because
I am
you
overburdened.
couldn't check it out Friday night. And at that time, you know, that was my life in Best Buy. So in Best Buy, you slept until 9:30 to get to work for 10 o'clock. Real professional. Um, you put your polo shirt through the dryer as you got in the shower, and you know you were home by 9:30. You're playing until 2 o'clock in the morning again. Oh, Grand Charm. Um, but yeah, it's a wild scenario. But yeah, it's there are some content creators out there that I absolutely am enthralled with. They're just so enthusiastic and excited to play their game, even though they've played it for months and years of their life. They have the same kind of like excitement and freshness as like the first time they installed the game, and it's like just booting up for the first time, and it's like, holy mackerel, like it's time to like let it rip, and it's like, but you have knowledge and experience, and you have tricks of the trade, and you have kind of like you have a game plan, um, and sometimes that's great. Sometimes that's like the coolest thing ever because you know
I am overburdened.
in other games you situate yourself, you build your economy, you know you obtain you know items and whatnot, and you get yourself to a place of comfort, and you're suddenly you know where you can start heading down whatever like avenue you want to head down. If it's you know I don't know getting treasure or getting uh, companions or anything like that, you can progress through it that way. But what's also genuine and amazing is the ability to not care about that, where you literally put that to the side
I am
and
overburdened.
you just play the game for its like originality. You put to the side um, kind of all the um, premeditated ideals. You know, in I don't know. I don't want to
I am overburdened.
turn away from this game too much, but to give an example, if you're playing a game like Ark, you know, you're always like you're racing up the tech tree. You're always trying to get from like your thatch and your wood and your bare basic uh, tools. You're trying to desperately get to metal, and you're trying to smelt metal, and you're trying to gain auxiliary dinosaurs that are going to be there for the long haul, like your Anki and your Doedicurus and all these different creatures, and you're trying to like quality of life yourself,
I can't
uh,
carry anymore.
so that way you're not sitting here like whacking on a heavy mine or a heavy like metal node, and you're trying to just oh, I've got to get like 200 metal for something, and if you were to do that with like a hand pick, you'd never get there because you can't carry that much metal. You can't do that. So you're using a different like creature to help you progress along the way. But sometimes it's so much fun to just play the game and just
I can't
not
carry
you
anymore.
know buck the system. I
I
guess
can't carry
you
anymore.
go against the grain and you just oh jewel um, you just do what you do. So because so many times like especially like in that game, and I don't mean to dissuade from the Diablo world. Um, you would get your Parasaur, and your Parasaur would be like your berry collector. And from your berry collector, you would get narcotics, and narcotics would knock out your first, Doedicurus or your first like Ankylosaurus, and suddenly you're in the production field because you could make stone, you could make metal, you'd somehow figure out how to get a woolly mammoth, and the woolly mammoth would be your tree gatherer, and suddenly you're like this gathering machine where you can make these illustrious, awesome, bases that are, fortified versus the PVE or PvP, and sometimes it's better not to. Like sometimes it's just amazing to like get out there, tame like a PT or like an RG, an Argentavis, and now you've just broken the cycle. You're into something different. You're flying the map and you're going anywhere and everywhere. You're checking out gorgeous scenery. You can get yourself out of like the traditional like starting area. You have freedom, and I think that's partly what's amazing about this game is that it's just you're free. You're free. You're free to do whatever you want, and whatever floats your boat, whatever keeps you happy, whatever you know gets you logging back in. Um, it should never feel like a chore. It should never feel like a if it does, you step away, or if you don't step away because you feel that you'd you know lose something, you step onto another character. Um, that one I've learned a trillion and a half times, because
I can't.
oh dear, okay. Why not? That's why not. Holy moly. Um, I get distracted and I don't want to necessarily log off this game because it's one of those like I need stuff. You need more and more stuff. And with like transmuting of runes to higher, like to upgrading a higher runes, you're always in need of. You're killing me, Smalls. But thanks for the town portal. Um, you always need chip gems. You always need flawed gems. So the incentive is to jump on a lower level character and start the process of that lower level character. You get oodles and oodles of those type of gems. Oh, stop it. As you progress, so you know the incentive is you pick up those um, lower level characters, you obtain all those lower gems, and all of a sudden, like
It's been
exponentially
a while. Let me get some sleep.
faster, you're progressing your rune game because maximum damage. We'll store it for now. we'll figure out what to do with that. Train of thought derailed. Ramble jamble. I'll get back there. I'll get back to where I was. Oh yeah. So the chip gems and the starting over characters. You're still you may not realize it and you may not comprehend it originally or initially, but you're still progressing. So you're still making forward progress, which is the short answer is that's fantastic. It's all about inching forward, whichever way you do it. So even if you do get onto like a lower level character and you start getting all the chip gems, you get all the flawed gems, you get all that, that only propels you forward with your other characters. So once again, it's not a detractor. A um, it's not a loss or a deficit. It's good. It's good. So you know if you jump onto another game, that's great. You know, get a different perspective, get a different um, way to entertain yourself. Again, it's your enjoyment. It's your satisfaction in what it is. You know, we that's where we were always with the Nintendo Entertainment System or Sega Genesis or Sega Master System. I'm dating myself, which is not a big deal because I'm old. You'd have new games coming out like fairly frequently. They weren't really month after month, but they were in that ballpark. Um, you would have like Castlevania 1, Castlevania 2, and you would revisit them because they certainly like were replayable, and they certainly had enough like uh, hidden gems and secrets and whatnot to go through it and play it again. Um, but we could replay the games. I guess is the big difference. Um, whereas nowadays it's everyone's just like short attention span, instant gratification, got to play the latest and greatest. So there's not as much replayability as there once was back in the glory days. Um, but there are some there's some individuals that find tremendous amount of pleasure just revisiting the classics, or not even the classics, but just specific titles. So the classics would be like Atari. No, the classics would probably be like N64. Um, but yeah. Anybody left? We leave anybody alone? Oh, I gotcha. Leave no stone unturned. That one extra mob could be the one that drops what you want. Oh, a whole bunch.
I can't carry.
Hey, love that sound.
I am overburdened.
All right, all right, all right. Place your bets. Oh, we're gonna do the grand charm or the small charm? Let's do the small charm just because we're curious. What's it gonna be? We're gonna do 1 to 2 to cold damage. We're gonna do 1 to strength. We're gonna do 10% to gold find. What's it gonna be? Whoa, 3 to attack rating. That is that's mega powered. That's huge. That is top tier. Just kidding. Okay. Looks like... let's just... Yep. Ugh! Orange flavor text. Thank you. Nope. Level 23. Still good. Still good. We're taking anything in the 20s today. 20s seem to be a nice, like, good number. So, I might displease the rune gods and leave anything in the teens on the ground. So, they might curse me for that, but we'll see. But yeah, it just you're one mob away from, like, potentially getting what you want. So that's the miracle of this game, that just random. It's man, they did a good job. They ticked all the checkmark boxes. So if you want a collector, you're a collector. If you want this, just the excitement of the drop, the excitement of the drop. If if you want, mindless killing, it's a mindless, mob grinding, you're good to go. Yeah, it's a piece of art. So even the original LOD was still good. I mean, yes, this is so much more refined. This is so much more smooth. This is so much more. But you got to remember, like, we were using calculators back in the olden days. Like, our idea of a PC was, like a potato. So these current iterations of gaming systems are just mind blowing. They're so vastly advanced, and it's even like even the graphics of the original hold up. So pixelated and all, because it still holds that kind of like authenticity. So we start at the end. What do we got? What do we got? Is this the cave? Yep. All right. Hey. Alrighty, Diablo Rune gods. Here's the deal. We need something special. We need something level 35 or higher. If you could provide a rune for me, little orange flavor text, I would be grateful. Um, yeah, it would be greatly appreciated. Let's see what we can do. Maybe the Sunday is going to really pop off, if that's such a thing. So, whoa, Howie, Mikey, no likey. Yep. Look, guys, experience is hard to get up here, so I'd like to keep all I got.
I can't carry anymore.
Hey, I'll take that, thank you. Vampire bone gloves. Why do I think those are good for crafting the blood gloves? Let me take a look at that real quick in a second. Thank you. Me scusi.
I am overburdened.
Alright. So we're definitely taking this. We're definitely going to take a look at these. Yes. So those are fantastic. Good, good, good. Okay. So we can try another pair of blood gloves for the Amazon. See if we can't get some crushing blow skills to spears or javelins. And who knows? Who knows?
I can't carry anymore.
Really? Sure you can.
I can't carry.
You're just being silly.
I am overburdened.
That was just funny to me. They're all trying to chew on corpses, and I'm sitting there just Barb singing as not paying any attention. It's like, oh, you're next to me? No biggie. Whatever. Have a nice day. Ugh. Large charms. There's only one large charm that matters. Which I wonder, another thing. I wonder if, what if you just created a character with only large charms? Plus to whatever, same idea. Like, you could, because again, there's no character that can't get through Bale on the hardest difficulty. So at least I don't think so. There might be like a certain build that you're just like, there's no way, like it's just too frustrating, and the effort versus the reward is not there. Because I've never taken like a summoner necro through Bale on the final level, because I don't know. I mean, you always have a golem. Like the golem is a given. You just need something to soak. But I've never had an army of like mages and skeleton warriors take on Bale. So I'm assuming it's possible, because again, like with the right amount of potions and the right amount of determination and the right amount of time, you can take out any of the. Oh no, it's almost time to leave. You can take out any of the act bosses. They're not they're not that hard. There's always like a way to do it. It's just a matter of, again, time, effort, and effort. Time, effort, and energy.
I can't carry anymore.
Obviously, if you level high enough, anything's possible, because you just literally out level the zone that you're in. So your abilities, your statistics, your everything are so high that you just genuinely auto pass through it. So kind of like this, this, I don't, if I'm not paying attention, I lose life, but if I'm on my game and I'm playing, I'm pretty much capped off at all times. So
I can't carry.
you just choose not to. You're like one of those drama queens.
I can't carry anymore.
You can. Stop saying that. You can carry plenty. You're a big old barbarian. Don't shortchange yourself. Negative talk gets you nowhere. The big question is, where to next? What's the next terror zone on the list? Who's it gonna be? Act 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My fear is it's gonna be Act 2. Because we got really lucky and we've been in Act 5
I can't carry anymore.
twice.
I am overburdened.
So I mean, I don't know. I think they did a very, very exquisite job with LOD. I think that this whole area was amazingly well done. It helps kind of like solidify like the barbarians place in Diablo. How the world stone was protected, how their the corruption seeped into it. Just good, 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 good. I do actually wonder, and I probably should find out about this like through one of the content creators or whatever. Um, Although most of them aren't really like, whoa, 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 whoa. How are we doing? Level 3. We're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. What a good morning. Good, good morning. I am thoroughly happy with today. Not that I'm not happy with every day, but today especially. Um, yeah, most of the content creators don't care about the lore. They care about just running through the game and making it. Oh my gosh! Holy mackerel! I gotta get rid of something. Sorry, Keys. Once again, you're the low man on the totem pole. Um, yeah, the content creators don't know the storyline. Oh, okay. All right, all right, all right, all right. This is gonna hurt, but we'll see. Um, how in the world did Bale get through the Guardians? So to open the gates to Mount Ariat, um, you think that the Guardians would also defend against Bale, but I mean, obviously, Bale significantly stronger than the Guardians. Did they, did they fight him? Did they even spawn to try to protect the gates, or did he just like bail it right past all that and be like, nah, I'm you know a terror god. I'm just gonna go through this and peace out, Cub Scout. So I wonder if that was ever disclosed in any like the books or the graphic novels or like the lore of Diablo 2. Um, you know what? You know what? Since it's now the burning question. Um, Black marshes in the hole. Okay. Um, um, yeah, I don't worry about that. I want to know if I want to know if son of a gun. All right, so from the Diablo wiki, no, the video game character Bale from Diablo 2 did not fight the guards of Mount Ararat. Mount Ararat is a real-world mountain. Yada yada yada. Son of a gun. Oh well. Bale's story revolves around the World Stone and Mount Ararat, which is part of the Diablo universe, but that stinks. You would think, you know, he's just like, nah, I'm skipping this. Like, peace out, guys. I'm too powerful for you. So they're just like, we're not going to summon in the first place because that would just be like, nah, bad, bad, bad. Um, they're in their stone statues and their eyes come alive and like their eyes look at like Baal. They look at each other and they're like sink. They just close. I won't tell if you won't tell. Yeah, just go back to sleep. Thanks, Tatarok. Yeah, keeping us free from this one. Oh man, funny, funny, funny. All right, those will go there. This is holy mackerel. No, can't do that because I have too many. All right, that's fine. All right, place your bets. Place your bets. Is this going to be a skill or charm?
Hello.
My heart says no. My gut says no. My mind says yes. Nope. Ugh. Ugh. All right. We're going on a brief hiatus. I'll be right back shortly, and we're going on to the Black Marshes.